We're going to be discussing a lot of things. Obviously, we'll be discussing what's happening with respect to Ukraine and Russia. At this moment, we have people talking in Russia. We have representatives over there, Steve Witkoff and others, and they're in very serious discussions. As you know, Ukraine has agreed, subject to this, what's happening today, to a complete ceasefire, and we hope Russia will do the same. Thousands of people are being killed, young people, usually, mostly. Young people, we were just talking about it, thousands of young people are being killed a week, and we want to see that stop. And they're not Americans, and they're not from the Netherlands for the most part. No. They're from Russia, and they're from Ukraine, but they're people. And I think everybody feels the same way. We want it to stop. It's also a tremendous cost to the United States and to other countries. And it's something that would have never happened if I were president, and it makes me very angry to see that it did happen. But it happened, and we have to stop it. And Mark has done some really good work over the last week. We've been working together, and he's done some really good work, so I'm very happy about that. We'll also be talking about trade and various other things, and I think we'll have a very strong day. We're going to have lunch afterwards. That'll go, and then we'll see you all later. But Mark, would you like to say something?
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much, Mr. President, dear Donald, again for hosting me, and but also for taking time in Florida a couple of weeks after you were re-elected.
That's right.
And of course, our phone call a couple of weeks ago, and I must say.
Hey, welcome back to Conservative Chronicle. Big news today. Donald Trump just sat down with Dutch Prime Minister and NATO leader Mark Rutte, and this meeting could have a serious impact on global politics. What did they talk about? How does this affect NATO and the US? And most importantly, what does this mean for the future of international security? We're breaking it all down, so stick around. And before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss updates on major world events. All right.
Trump 45, you originated the fact that in Europe we are now spending, when you take it to aggregate, 700 billion more on defense than when you came in office in 2016, 2017. But that was Trump 45. But when you look at Trump 47,
it's gonna be hard to tell.
What happened the last couple of weeks is really staggering. The Europeans committing to a package of 800 billion defense spending. The Germans now, potentially up to $500 billion extra in defense spending. And then of course you had Keir Starmer here, the British Prime Minister, and others, all committing to much higher defense spending. We're not there, we need to do more, but I really want to work together with you in a run-up to the Hague Summit to make sure that we will have a NATO which is really reinvigorated under your leadership, and we are getting there. We also discuss defense production, because we need to produce more weaponry. We are not doing enough. And not in the US, not in Europe, and we are lacking behind when you compare to the Russians and the Chinese.
Right, let's get into the details. Trump and Rutte met to discuss NATO's role in global security, military spending, and the alliance's future. This wasn't just a simple handshake for the cameras. Serious conversations were happening behind closed doors. Now, we all know Trump has been vocal about NATO in the past, calling it obsolete and demanding that European countries pay more. Was this meeting another push to get NATO allies to step up their defense spending? Let's break it down.
When I first went to NATO, my first meeting, I noticed that very few people were paying. And if they were, they weren't paying their fair share. There were only 7 countries that were paying what they were supposed to be paying, which was,
it's even worse.
Could be even worse. But there were just very few countries that were paying, and even the paying, it was at 2%, which is too low. It should be higher. It should be quite a bit higher. But you had Poland, and I remember Poland was actually paying a little bit more than they were supposed to, which I was very impressed with. They've been actually terrific, and some of the others. But most of them weren't paying, or they were paying very little. And I didn't think it was appropriate to bring it up there, but I said it's going to be brought up at my next meeting. And my next meeting, the first meeting, you want to give them a little break. The second meeting, it began, and I was able to raise hundreds of billions of dollars. I just said, we're not going to be involved with you if you're not going to pay. And the money started pouring in, and NATO became much stronger because of my actions and working along with a lot of people, including Mark. But they would not pay for other presidents, and I don't think other presidents even knew that they weren't paid. I asked, first question, has everybody paid up? And literally, I mean, they told me 7. You could be right, it could be 3, but that makes it even worse. But they just weren't paying. And I said, no, I won't protect if you're not paying. If you're delinquent or if the money isn't paid, why would we do that? And as soon as I said that, you got a little hit from the press because they said, oh, gee, that's not very nice. But if you said the other, nobody would have paid. And the money started coming in by the billions. And, hundreds of billions of dollars flowed into NATO, and NATO became strong.
Yeah.
This meeting is interesting because Trump has had a rocky relationship with NATO. He repeatedly criticized the alliance, even threatening to pull the U.S. out if other countries didn't contribute more financially. Fast forward to today, has his stance changed? Or is he gearing up to make NATO a central issue in the next election? Let me know what you think in the comments below.
And you remember that your predecessor, who I thought was a very good man.
Absolutely,
actually.
yes, Stoltenberg. He sends his best greetings.
He was terrific. Stoltenberg, Secretary General.
Great
And
man.
he made the statement that when Trump came in, the money started coming in like we never saw before. Hundreds of billions, actually probably close to $600 billion came in. And NATO became strong from that standpoint. And now we have to use it wisely, and we have to get this war over with, and you'll be back to a normal, much more normal life. And maybe we're close. We're getting words that things are going okay in Russia, and it doesn't mean anything until we hear what the final outcome is. But they have very serious discussions going on right now with President Putin and others, and hopefully they all want to end this nightmare. It's a nightmare. It's a horrible thing when you look. I get pictures every week. They give me the pictures of the battlefield, which I almost don't want to see. It's so horrible to see young people laying arms and legs and heads laying all over the field. It's a most terrible thing.
Now, let's talk about the other key player in this meeting, Mark Rutte. He's not just the Dutch Prime Minister, he's a major influence in NATO decision-making. Rutte has been a strong advocate for European countries taking more responsibility for their own defense. That makes this meeting important, because if Trump is planning to...
And you have a huge defense industrial base. Europeans buying 4 times more here than the other way around, which is good because you have a strong defense industry, but we need to do more there to make sure that we ramp up the production and kill the red tape. So I would love to work with you on that. And finally, Ukraine. You broke the deadlock. As you said, all the killing, the young people dying, cities getting destroyed. The fact that you did that you started the dialogue with the Russians, and the successful talks in Saudi Arabia now with the Ukrainians. I really want to commend you for this. So, The Hague is my hometown. I love to host you there in the summer and work together to make sure that will be a splash, a real success, projecting American power on the world stage.
What Mark is saying...
Pressure NATO again, Rutte could be one of the key voices pushing back. So is this the start of a new US-Europe dynamic, or just a strategic meeting ahead of bigger moves? Let's discuss. His foreign policy stance on NATO will be a huge talking point. Will he double down on his America First strategy, or will he try to work more closely with NATO? And how will NATO allies react? Will they push for more independence from the US, or strengthen their relationship? One thing's for sure, this isn't just another political meeting. This could set the stage for major global shifts in the coming years. So, what do you think? Was this meeting about strengthening NATO, or is Trump setting up for another big political move? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear your take. And hey, if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe for more updates on politics, world events, and everything in between. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.